Welcome to the Freedom Hustles podcast, where host John and Andy take you on a journey of liberation away from the 9-to-5 grind. Explore side hustles, remote work, and the skills to help you unlock true freedom. Brought to you by freedomskillsacademy.com, this podcast is your gateway to independence and financial empowerment.
Okay, so here we go then, episode 69. Welcome again. Hello, Andy. How are you doing?
All right, John. Yeah, I'm very good, mate. You?
Very good. Yeah, very nice indeed. Very nice weather today.
Yeah,
Right.
it's sweltering here a bit, to be fair. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine you're a few degrees hotter than what we are.
Mhm.
So tonight we're talking about upsells, okay? Upsells and cross sells. So what are they and how can you use them in your business to basically increase your revenue? Now, there's a few ways of doing this, should be said. There's the annoying way, and then there's the kind of subtle way. And you see both of them, especially when you're working in the online space. Some websites tend to use more of one than the other. Certainly, if you go back like the old, I don't know, maybe sort of 5-10 years ago, the whole kind of like Warrior Forum, and do you remember that? And like, ClickBank and places like that, you would have, you could have like 7 or 8 upsells, couldn't you? You buy the product for like $27, and then it's like, get this for 97, then get the done for you for 397, then get the mentoring package for 2000, and it just keeps on and on and on.
It got a
And
bit
that used
silly.
to get a little bit sort of spammy and a little bit annoying, but
Yes.
I think if done right and if done, in a more kind of like subtle way, then it can be effective and it doesn't necessarily annoy people, does it?
No, I think the sweet spot is between 2 and possibly 3 upsells. I'd say probably 2, so that's 3 products in total with your first one, and a couple of upsells. So you can have an upsell, a downsell, but there's also like your offer bumps, which is basically where you add something to the main purchase in the first place before going on to an upsell. But if you have too many, like you say, I can remember them days where you were going through endless pages and pages,
Yeah.
and
Just
they were
want
written in
the
the yeah, and it was like making it, if you want this to work, you need this, and it's like, well, I bought this book hoping it would work, and it was, but it got ridiculous, and it was, yeah, it was a bad time. But if you do a couple of upsells, 3 at the most, it's not so bad.
And you don't have to do them all straight away, do you?
No.
I mean, like, for example, okay, I don't want to, it seems to be like quite ideal product placement, but if you take the 2 books that we've got on our shelves behind us, now they're physical books written by us. And so you can go and buy those books on Amazon, right? And then you can read the book and you can gain pretty much the knowledge that you want from that book. You can get that, right? However, in the back, I know like you've sort of done yours throughout the book. You've provided links to other, more information and further information and, courses on the website, for example.
Yeah.
And then in my one, you basically get to the end, and then it's like, if you want to see a kind of video course format of this whole method, then there's a little link in there, and that doesn't, I think, offend anyone. That doesn't annoy anyone. They're still getting the book. They're still they don't have to buy that. They can read the book and go about and do what they want from that. But it's just that little bit extra at the end. And then, of course, what happens at the end, if people go and click on that link, they'll go and buy the course. They'll also then be added onto, an email list of which, who knows, we may end up doing some more business with them further on down the line. So, that in itself is a kind of like, a little subtle one, which I don't think becomes too, doesn't annoy people as much.
No, I mean that just seems like a natural progress, and it's often to be expected. I mean, as we said with the upsells, like you said, it doesn't have to happen all at once. With what we talked about earlier about the ClickBank, where there's like 7 or 8 upsells all at one go, you're going through page and page and page. Often it's best just to sell a product, have maybe an offer bump to go with it. So, for example, let's say you were selling an ebook about copywriting, but the offer bump may be a couple of page templates. Then after that, there could be the upsell could be a short video course showing you how to do the copywriting that goes along with the book and the templates. But then you stop. But then your third product or your fourth product, whatever product comes after that, could be like 5 days later sent via an email, which would be like, let me show you how to do it in person with a one-to-one consultation or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, if it's often, it makes sense to clump a few things together at the beginning because, see, the whole purpose of that is, let me try and remember how this right. There's 3 ways to increase the profits in your business, and that is 1, to have new customers, 2, to have more products, and 3, to sell more products. Now, one of the best ways of increasing the profits in your business is to sell more products to the same customers.
Yeah.
Because you've already got those customers, and because you've got those customers, you are not having to do so much advertising. And during that purchasing process, if someone's buying a 19.99 ebook, you could probably get like 10-20% maybe interested in purchasing something else at another $30 or $40. And you've got that extra work or that extra profit through basically nothing more than an extra page or of writing or a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something now, which I think is kind of interesting. There's 2 ways of supposedly doing an upsell. Is you can create a product and think, oh, that'll go nicely with it. But a lot of the big boys, they generally tend to have this idea. They work backwards. They'll think, I would like to do this. So they might have this idea for like a $3,000 course or something. And then think, that's going to be the main course. Now we need to sort of break it down and filter it out to the cheaper option. And so they actually create this whole series of products at the same time and create the upsells all in one go. So that basically once they launch that first product, which is probably a $9.99 or $19.99 ebook, everything else is in position and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is obviously the way to do it. And, things like, people, they might kind of hear us talking now, people that aren't familiar with this, and they might think, oh, that sounds a bit, a bit spammy or a bit scammy and, whatever. But the truth is, you're getting upselled all the time, right? People need to realize this in every day-to-day life. You are getting upsold near enough in pretty much most purchases. Unless let's go back to do you remember one of the classic ones? You should go to like the fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
Before you had all the self-service things, you used to go up to the counter. You'd say you want your meal, and they would always say, "Do you want to go large? Right? Do you want to supersize?" There was a film about it, right? Supersize me, yeah.
Yeah.
Rest his soul. I think rest in peace.
Morgan Spurlock died, didn't he, this week? Sadly.
Passed away. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is exactly that. So they used to go there. You go to the counter. You'd order your meal, and they would always say, "Do you want to go large? I.e., do you want the larger version?" Okay. So that one sentence would gain them X amount of more revenue, over the course of the financial year.
Yeah.
The other ones are things like, like these kind of month, insurances, for example. Have you ever gone and bought a sofa, right? And they always try and sell you like the care plan, the aftercare plan, which will be like the cleaning products, or if you get a stain on it, will come. And no one would ever use it, right? Hardly ever, anyway. And that would be another little upsell of like, oh, it's only another £100. But I expect they're making an absolute fortune on them things. But because of the amount of people that actually follow up and use it.
Well, I do remember them offering cans of Scotch Guard or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just another thing because you're in the shop, you've just bought something. Now's the time to try and sell you something else, right? Another little classic one which heard the other day when I was thinking about this podcast, and that was window cleaners. He said, once we're up there, we do the windows, and then while we're there, we'd literally say, your gutters need doing as well. Do you want us to do them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
we're here now. We're there. We literally might as well do them. It'll be another 50 quid or whatever, but do you want us to do them?
Two
And
jobs
a,
at the same time, isn't it?
yeah, and but a huge success rate. Like people would always, oh yeah, go on then while you're up there. And
Yeah.
but then you got these things like continuity plans. Uber now, okay? Uber, you you just pay for your taxi, or you can sign up now for like, I think it's like Uber Pro or something like that, where you basically pay like a monthly fee, and
Mm.
then you get X amount of your cab rides. So they're trying to keep you on, like you say, they'd rather have that because they got that guaranteed. Do you know what I mean? That revenue
Yeah.
every month. So people think, oh, upsell, it's a bit scary, and they might get annoyed about it when they see it online. But the truth be told is happening all the time. I'll guarantee you, anyone that's listening to this, next time you go into your car showroom or anything like that,
I'm gonna
there
say
will
car
be an
showrooms. Yeah.
absolute fortune made on all the extras that you will
Yeah.
be sold and tried to pitch on. So,
Well, that's the thing. Car showrooms always they basically sell the basic car, and then it's like, do you want the extra wheel
mm,
trims? Do you want the, the better
steering wheel.
version or anything? Yeah, or the the fluffy dice and the
Yeah, yeah.
Gavin and
Faster
Tracy.
stripes.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll give you an example of something. Like you said, this has been happening for years. A few years ago, I went to a big car boot from where I used to be in the UK, and there was these stacks of war. Can't remember the name of the actual magazine, but it was a newspaper magazine that originally came out in around 1918, 19 whatever. It was about the Great War, and it was all printed reports. It was like these newspapers all dedicated, and then they carried on for a few years.
Mm.
And in the back of those, they used to have basically upsells. You could send off for the thick binders so
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
could
yeah,
put
yeah.
magazines into them, and you could collect them
Mm,
and make them into like encyclopedias.
mm.
And there was so many printed magazines. People were probably buying them every month for years. And you'd end up buying 5 of these binders so you could put everything in it and put it on your shelf. So you had this nicely stacked away. I mean, that itself is an upsell.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They're not selling them as books. They sold them as a monthly magazine with the upsell to buy the binder to make it into a book that you can put on your shelf.
yeah, absolutely. So I think, people don't have to be too worried about it. And if you do get a bit, I know what it's like, you do, if you're going to go and buy something, I mean, you learn to sort of, I don't know, I guess once you've been around this kind of like game for a while, I've almost kind of got an idea of what the sales funnel is going to look like before I've even opted in to whatever the lead magnet is now. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You kind of know what's going to happen. Um, and that's fine. That's part of it. But I mean, the other thing I will say is, you know, when you're doing these things, and not in the case of like, like we've got physical examples there, which they'll just stay like that, and that's fine.
Mm.
Um, but we use things like, you can track stuff. I've always said this: test stuff, track stuff. So, for example, them links in those books, we'll be able to track. They're kind of unique to that book. So
Yeah.
how many people have clicked on them links, and the only people that have clicked on them links will be the people that have gone through via them
Those are the
books.
book.
So
Mm.
you can kind of get an idea as to whether it's working or not, and you should be able to get,
Mm.
so and that's the other thing, and that is just test. And you know, if you get feedback and stuff, and you're not getting the right vibe about things, then you can always change the format, and you can always, you know, juggle things around. So
The good thing about digital products, if people are selling digital products, is that they can rewrite the sales page or change the product slightly, or
yeah,
they can add things to it, change it around.
mm,
Digital funnels are brilliant because you can do that. I just wanted to say something that you just made me think of there, as you said about going through numerous upsells can people find frustrating. A lot of people probably in our industry, we're so used to we expect it, we know it's going to happen. Some people may get a bit miffed going through it. And I was just about to say they're probably the ones who are used to going and buying their books from Amazon or places like that, where they just buy the book and they don't get hit by these others. But they do. Because if
yeah,
you go to Amazon, you buy something, the first thing they do is hit you with other people bought this.
yeah, Exactly.
And as soon as you bought a book, you'll end up with an email of lots of other similar books
Yeah.
saying, somebody bought this webcam, and that they bought this microphone with it, or something like that. They'll hit you up with
Yep.
other products to buy.
Absolutely. They're all doing it. I mean, and Amazon are like the
Mm.
masters of the payment cart. Do you know what I mean? They have
Yeah.
perfected. They have literally perfected that. That sequence where you decide to buy something and then you buy something. The amount of
Mhm.
money that they've spent on that, just that sequence, it'd be millions, probably even more than that. The
Yeah.
research that's gone into it, and like they have tried to just that part. And like you say, people have also bought this, or people bought this with these three things, and you see a little
Yeah.
bundle at the bottom, don't you? Um, another
You
shop.
can't you can't say if anybody is saying, "Well, I don't like these funnels because there's always upsells," or "Oh, I'm not," you get sort of irate and, "Oh, I've never had this." And it's like technically you have everything. Every time you buy something online, whichever company you go to,
Mm,
there is an upsell. It just depends on how it's kind of been delivered. And like you say, Amazon are masters at it because they tend to do it where people often don't realize that it's an upsell.
mm.
It's just a recommendation. It's not an
We
upsell. Well, it is, but
we done a load of grocery shopping the other day online, and it was like not a massive basket, probably 40 quid's worth of food. And
Mhm.
we got through because I wanted to get the free delivery, which was 40 quid. So I was like, just putting a few more extra bits in, and then we were like, yeah, that'll do. And then we
Mhm.
went to submit, and when we went to place the order, a whole page of offers come up, right? Saying, I think they only showed them after you've literally, I don't know if they were in the normal when you're browsing. A whole
Yeah.
page of offers come up after I'd already placed the order. Before you go, do you want to add these? And it was kind of
Yeah.
like it's only valid now sort of thing.
A one-time offer, an offer
Yeah.
button,
And I was
one-time
like,
offer.
Jesus Christ, the supermarkets are doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I just looked at that and I was sort of, telling my missus, this is all, look at this. This is
Mhm.
marketing now. This used to be only on digital products. Now it's on your basic, your fruit and veg and your bread and milk. And
I mean, you think about it. If you were paying £40, if you put another £10 onto that order for one click, and now if you imagine
mm,
out of say a million customers that week, 20% did
added some
that.
extra stuff. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Just from that, and that basically it might have took some graphic designer, some code or whatever. It
Mm,
might have taken somebody like 2 or 3 hours to put together the order or whatever on the
mm.
website. They've generated X amount of pounds in profit, all because of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
offer bump.
And it was literally you're spending the money anyway. The credit
Yep,
card details are already in.
yep,
You've done all the artwork. And it was like, oh yeah, before you go, do you want these? And I think it was a couple of pages of that. And I was
yeah,
like, Christ. And like, yeah. So look, say people, get put off with it and all that, but at the end of the day, the chances are it's happening to you everywhere now. And, it's just part and parcel of it.
yeah.
It's an old method. It's been going on for years. Ever since
Oh,
anything was being sold anywhere, it would
you
have been
think
happening.
of places like WH Smith's or even your local sort of news agents where you go to buy a paper. By the time you've got to, or even the petrol station, you're going to pay for your petrol. By the time you've walked through to the person to pay for your petrol,
Mm.
and there's all these chocolate bars there. Not only do you see stuff like, oh, it's there for you to look at and go, oh, I could do with that, but then they'll also turn around and say, are you interested in doing? And they'll probably say, we're there's a couple of Cadbury chocolate bars,
Mm.
50% off.
Mm.
Would you be interested in some chocolate with your purchase?
Yeah.
And that happens in petrol stations all sorts. And you're like, I've just come for a paper. But that's,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
that's, they're doing it. Everybody's doing it because at that point of transaction, like you said, your credit card's out, you're willing to pay,
Mm.
your buyer resistance is at its lowest because you're intending to spend some money.
Mm.
And while you got your credit card out, you're about to spend £10 on a coffee and a
Yeah,
bagel or
yeah.
something, and then they turn around and say, "Do you want chocolate?" And you go, "Oh yeah, it's just another £1
Yeah,
25."
exactly. Done.
It's
Mm.
only 1.25 to you, but to them,
Mm.
they do that multiple times during the day across the country in different stores.
Hmm.
It's more than £1.25, and it's all from that time. And that's the great thing about upsells is obviously you're not going to get a 100% track record. So if 100 people buy your ebook, you are not going to get 100 people who's going to buy your upsell. You may get 20, you may get 30, you may even, depending on what it is, you might get 50. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're going to get so many people because their buyer resistance is lowered.
Hmm.
It's easy to sell something to someone who's actually purchasing something or have purchased from you than trying to sell something to a complete stranger who doesn't know you from
Yeah,
Adam.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely right. Um, two more things I just quickly wanted to cover.
Yep.
The first one is down sales, which you can get, which is a little bit different, and that could be, for example, well, one of the old ways. I remember, like again, I'm going back like the old, Warrior Forum and places like that where you used to get a lot of, well, it has to be said, quite poor products. But anyway, you could buy stuff on there, and if you didn't if you didn't want it, like you could almost just say like you're at the landing page, and you would scroll up to go and X off the page, and
Yeah.
they would have like there'd be like a bit of Java or something on there in the code, which it follows your mouse. It knows you're about to X off, and it would be like, wait a minute, and it would give you like the option of like £2 off or something like that, wouldn't it? Or rather than $7, you can get it for 5 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or on a more bigger scale, you might have, let's say, a big coaching course or a big coaching program you're about to put together. You would have something like, let's say you had a 3-month coaching program. It was 3 grand or 5 grand or something like that, and you had someone that was kind of on the edge and they weren't too sure about it and they were not really willing to commit that much, rather than just completely dismiss it. You'd often get people who will say, look, well, what can we work with then? What is your budget like? How can we, maybe we can work something out? And if the person turned around and said, well, I'm really I'm at a stretch, but I'll probably do about 2 grand, then you could go, well, look, okay, well, how about then we do 2 months coaching, and rather than get complete access to the video vault, maybe you just get like the first or second module or something like that. You'll still get the one-to-one. Obviously, I can't give you everything that the VIP package people are going to get, but maybe we can sort something out. So rather than completely kill it off, you could still end up, with something and still be able to work something out.
Yeah, you see that quite similar. Like you say, you offer them an expensive coaching or product, and then if they can't, then you offer them something. So instead of like your 3 month, 3 grand mentoring product, they'll probably you'll offer them like a 2 week consultation, two
Mm,
calls for say
mm.
like $500
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. It's like,
Mm,
okay, so you can't afford this. How about we have two consultation calls, an hour a week? We'll go through this, we'll go through that, and 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 it is basically it is a way of still getting profit from people who would like your product, but they probably sell it. You say they can't afford the 3 grand,
mm,
so they go for the 500 option.
mm.
Um, so yeah, so I mean, it was always interesting to watch. Like you say, you go up and then back down, and then it's. But it's again, it's because the reason why they do them is because, like we said, the buyer resistance to buying is at its low because they're about to purchase. They've got the credit card in their hand. They're interested in what you've got, and now you're just expanding on that. Then it's like, oh, it's like buying an ice cream from you go to the ice cream place and you buy an ice cream. It's a 99. Do you want strawberry syrup on that? No. Oh yeah, why not? Oh, it's would you? Do you know what I mean? You go to for a cappuccino. Do you want chocolate sprinkles on that? Oh yeah, why not? You're at that point, and then they're just expanding on it and teasing you. And it's if it's congruent. I mean, you wouldn't want to go there and you got someone's buying your book, The Sole Profits, and then you offer them, I don't know, a bunch
Hot
of
air
cones or
balloon ride
something
or
like that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, it just wouldn't make sense. But if it's congruent, it's people buy.
So the last point I wanted to make as well, which is a huge, a really great way in which you can kind of like maximize um, profits and revenue and everything like that. And that is, once you get a few digital products together, once you've got yourself kind of like an established sort of list or community, actually, I prefer to use that sort of word really. Um, and that is you can put together compilations and bundles, um,
Yeah,
which kind of like is another way of sort of selling a load of stuff. So you could put together a package of 2, 3, 4, however many of your products all in one hit, and then kind of sell them all as a sort of one-time offer. Now, these really should be very kind of limited offers. You don't want to leave these up for long. Quite a common thing now is you get the old Black Friday stuff, that sort of fictional Amazon holiday that was just created out of thin air. And but yeah, you get that, and you see a lot of marketers now. If you're on any email lists of marketers, you'll always get Black Friday deals now, and 9 times out of 10, it's quite often bundles. So you might find that they'll put like 2 or 3 of their ebooks together and 2 or 3 courses together or something like that, and they'll sell them at a huge discount. Discount as in if you add up what they're really worth separately, and that can be a great way of getting a boost. People think they're getting a good deal. They are getting a good deal. And, but I will stress, if you're going to do that, make sure you stick to some sort of time frame. If you're going to say you're going to put it up for 48 hours, put it up for 48 hours and genuinely take it down afterwards. Because otherwise it just looks...
Yeah, I mean, it's like, why wait for Black Friday when every day could be Black Friday? You could, like you say, you could bundle everything together and have it as on the back end, and it can only be purchased through that process.
Yeah.
You don't stick it in emails, you don't stick it on your website, you don't do anything else. Basically, when anybody buys a specific product, once they get through to sort of page 3, it's there. And you can leave that, like you say, you could actually leave that up for years, because no one else can actually access it apart from going through that process. But bundles are great, because especially with the digital bundles, because once you've created something, it doesn't take you any more effort or time. It don't cost you anything more, does it? So, like you say, £500 worth of books and courses for £97 or $97, it's a steal, isn't it?
And that's the beauty of it. Once you've got a few, we've always said we really must stress this point, and that is, we do all these podcasts and we create all this content. We're on various channels and social media platforms, and the blog and Medium articles and everything like that. But the main point we want to make when we do all these things, I mean, we love it when you come over and you interact with us, and that's fine. But the main point is, we really are stressing that people should be making their own stuff. You should be create your own content, create your own digital products, courses, ebooks, whatever it is you're going to do, create your own, because then you really do have, you have a lot more control over what you can do then, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, because there's so much, I don't want to say rubbish out there, but when you've got something that's unique and is not being sold by everybody else, so to speak, I mean, when it's yours, and especially if you create a brand around you, you're creating your own products, they're yours. Do you know what I mean? They're yours, and you can sell them for whatever price you want, for however long you want. And it's just, but it's not just, there's also that sort of social proof. There's that, when you created your own product and you created your own book, or you've written your own book, people see you, people perceive you differently. They see you differently as well. Do you know what I mean? That in itself is powerful.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap it up there. So, good chat, upsells and downsells, and cross sells. Don't be afraid of them. They are part of selling anything online now. You will almost certainly come across them. Probably don't overdo it. But like we just said then, if done right, and if done, I think, kind of subtly, and then they can be a great way to add some more revenue in to your business.
Absolutely. Every business should be doing it, because as they say, if you don't, you're leaving money on the table. Because the fact is, another saying which I think people should think about, and that is, people want to buy, and so if you don't give them the opportunity to buy from you, they'll buy from somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Great point to end on. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you later.
Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Freedom Hustles podcast. We hope you found inspiration and insights to help fuel your journey towards freedom. Don't forget to join our free newsletter at freedomskillsacademy.com/newsletter, where you can find exclusive tips, updates, and resources to help elevate your hustle. Until next time, keep hustling towards your dreams.